What we have here is a failure to communicate. Good evening, all you sexy stackers of the precious metals. I hope everybody is doing well this evening. Let's get some quick salutations so we get into the topic of the day here. Littlefoot Silver Stacker coming in first, hot and heavy, baby. I see those feet chomping all over the chat room right there. That ASC guy coming in second. Welcome. Silver Serpents 505. Third, sir. Third. Dirty third. Amina sliding in here with some dance moves or something. Is that a dance move? Is that hard? I can't tell what it is. Appreciate all of you coming in here. Novice Prep. What's up? I see you there. I see you. Thank you again. I really do appreciate all the support and the attention, especially you guys that come in here before we even get going on the live stream, before we even have a topic going, and you trust that we can kind of come in here and get some information and some entertainment and a way to kind of smoothly relax into your evening. I do appreciate your support there. That being said, topic tonight. What are we doing, Dragoon? What are you talking about? Silver and gold being savings accounts or speculative assets or investment assets. What are we talking about? Well, the reason I brought this up is actually I was watching a video this morning, and I disagree with the person, but the person said that they dislike calling precious metals investments because they're more akin to straight speculation. And I really wanted to talk about that because I have a different background than I think a lot of people in the stacking community. I kind of came from a different direction, right? Building my stack was kind of the last thing that I did. I built a very large nest egg in, stocks and mutual funds and ETFs, all kind of into the day, they're all stocks, right? And then branched out into real estate. I'm not talking about my primary residence. I'm talking about second properties and investment properties, and branched out into that. I built up a pretty sizable cash position. I went through cryptocurrency to the point where I was actually mining Ethereum, and I was mining Ethereum and then converting the Ethereum mining processing power, getting paid out in Bitcoin. And I used that Bitcoin to support the expenses of my secondary properties and stuff. So, I had all that kind of set up and going, multiple lines of revenue through multiple businesses and W-2 income and 1099 income, as well as Schedule Ks through joint ventures and things like that. So I went through that route, right? And everybody's got their own route, and everybody has the things that they're happy with. But then it wasn't until I got fully comfortable in what I consider, if you watch my channel, what I consider my financial walls, right? These financial walls are like, imagine you have a castle and you keep building exterior walls, right? You build a big, huge exterior wall right there in front of the keep where you live, and then you build another wall right outside of that where maybe you have some of the infrastructure that you need, and then you build another wall that maybe houses all the residents of your kingdom, right? And then you build another wall that maybe protects all your farmers and their farmland, right? In my mind, that's my financial infrastructure. And each of these different diversified asset groups ends up being a financial wall that can protect me from financial ruin. If one of them were to get collapsed, I would still have the others up there to support me. And so I didn't get into gold and silver until after I had all these things built up. And then I was looking for alternative assets instead of cash, because, cash isn't trash per se. Cash is a tool that I can leverage to put into opportunities when they arise that could potentially have much higher returns than other things, right? And so I was like, okay, I need to deploy some cash because I feel like it's time. And what I did there, what was that? Ronnie, mother of two lovely sons. That's an interesting name. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. That is a long name. Hey, what's up? Yesterday, today. How's it going? So anyway, long story short is I kind of view all different types of assets. I've got exposure to all sorts of different assets, collectibles as well, art, gold, silver, and pretty much all the other mainstream type assets that you could get into. I own, have participated in markets, whatever. Anyway, long story short, right? Or long story long, I guess, more than anything. So I think precious metals differently than a lot of people who have built like their core. Some people build their core financial structure. Yeah, you did. I appreciate you being here yesterday. Some people build their entire financial structure around precious metals, and I'm not saying there's any one right or wrong way to do it. I'm just sharing again my experiences with these things, and people can take it what it is. There's no advice for you. I don't know you or your situation, what you're comfortable with, anything. So I'm just speaking for myself here. But when I watched this video and they were talking about how they felt like precious metals were just pure speculation, it kind of threw me off because it was honestly like the last thing I would expect anybody to say. But I figured we will entertain it and we will go through and we'll kind of compare speculative assets, investment assets, and savings assets, and we'll kind of compare them to kind of get a fuller understanding of why you might classify one or the other. What are the positives and the negatives of those different types of assets as well? What's going on, Muscle Shell? Muscle Shell has only ever interacted with me 2 times in my entire life, and both times are just comments that say, What's up, man? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. So, all right. That was the intro there. Hope everybody's had time to kind of settle into their couch cushions, put their feet up on the coffee table, grab your coffee, tea, or whatever you're dealing with tonight. As we get into and we dive into these different types of assets and kind of compare and contrast precious metals to get a better understanding of what maybe they could be considered, what they should be considered, or what you should consider them. I don't know. We'll see. Let's flip it over. Let's flip it and reverse it. All right, first and foremost, as always, we have got an amazing run up over the last week or so of precious metals. I don't know anybody who's a holder of any kind of asset that doesn't get excited or happy when they see the valuation of their, total portfolio increase. So gold up to $4,754. Here we go. We've got silver up to $86.81, already up almost 1% this morning. So hopefully that carries over into the U.S. Western markets. We will see. You got some tea, got some tea. Awesome. Very nice. I have some tea as well. You got your popcorn ready and your silver. I don't know if this is going to be a popcorn worthy live stream here, but we're going to talk about some stuff. So let's think about this, guys. I would say that most of you guys out there probably look at something like Bitcoin, right? How many people out there would consider Bitcoin to be a speculative asset? How many of you would consider it to be an investment? How many would you consider Bitcoin to be a safe haven place to put your cash for savings accounts, right? Those are like each one of those types of conversations can bring out different emotions for people as they kind of want to be, I guess, as fiscally responsible with their money as possible, right? Pretty happy with buying on the dip the past couple months. Yeah, Robert, dude, I can say, I can say that I buy the dips, but in fairness, I'm always buying. Like I'm pretty much buying like every other day something. I do increase my quantities that I buy when markets go down, and I decrease the quantity that I buy when what's up, Pang? How you doing, guys? Robert, everybody. I decrease my buying when the prices go up, and I increase it when the prices go down. It's pretty that simple. But so like I can technically say that I always bought the lowest dip in the last whatever X number of time period, but I also always bought the highest point. I'll just buy it, and I'm not even really dollar cost averaging. I'm just buying, man. I just got like a little bit of a I don't know. Got a little bit of an addiction to spending my money on what I believe are assets that have long-term intrinsic value and growth. So, okay. So what are we doing? Yeah, you guys, man, there's a lot of popcorn in the chat. Appreciate you guys. You guys are cool. All right. So let's look at some stuff, and so, okay, we already talked about it. It seems like a couple people said that they felt like Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies were more of a speculative asset. I think most people would probably agree with that. Okay, here's the next question. What would y'all consider stocks to be, right? Just stocks. You're going to buy a stock in a company. Do you consider that to be a speculative asset? Do you consider that to be an investment? Do you consider that to be a savings account, right? Um, it's all good. It's all good. I feel like you just married me in Silver Serpents. Amina, you, you have to buy the deals regard. Exactly, Robert. Yeah, Robert, you and I might be cut from the same cloth, so to speak, there, brother. Because I just, if I see a good deal and I can get like 5% under spot or something like that, and I'm just like, you know what, let's just add it to, and it fits my stacking profile. I don't buy just anything, but there are the number of things that I don't buy are very low. So anyway, so yeah, investment yesterday, today comes in here. Yeah, most people would consider buying shares of a stock for a company to be considered an investment. And then finally, yeah, if we want to summon Kalilo, ASC guy, I think he's West Coaster, so he's probably working. But what we would do is we would say PMs for sale, PMs for sale, PMs for sale. I might even go so far. To bring up Reddit and bring up PMs for sale on the Reddit. And the next thing you know, our boy Kalilo, here we go, right here. Look at that. Our boy Kalilo, he's going to come flying into the live stream any second now. And probably tell us the greatest thing that he found on PMs for sale this afternoon that he bought. You know what I mean? Anyway. All right. So let's look at a company. So also a savings account, like a high yield savings account or a savings account, that's pretty obvious, right? Most people would consider those to be savings and not investments or speculation. I stumbled across a tube of pure silver proof Washington quarters under spot. Wow. Nice. Okay. So let's look at Amazon. Okay, right off the bat, guys, this is Amazon's stock chart for the last year. As you can see, the stock has risen 39.33% in the last year. Now, most people right off the bat, right? Most of you would say, hey, what's going on, Jeff Stout? Most of you right off the bat would say, yeah, it's obvious, right? It's obvious stocks are investments. Well, why is this stock an investment? Why is it not a speculative play? Right? Oh, well, because you're investing in a business that you believe is going to continue operating at a high level, that's going to continue to increase its products and services and revenues, and therefore the theoretical valuation of this business is going to continue to increase. Maybe they're going to manage their finances well, and they're not going to go into tremendous debt without growth, and they're going to have a nice cash flow, right? So you believe all those things. Is that not in a way speculating on what you believe this company's future is going to be? Is that any better or worse than Bitcoin? Well, like, yeah, I guess you could say, oh, well, it's based off of a business that has tangible assets like trucks and planes and inventory and warehouses and people, whereas Bitcoin doesn't. Okay, and again, I'm not shilling for any of these things. I'm just using examples here. Do I use AppMex? I don't. So just to answer that question today, I don't specify any one company that I use or don't use, because I look at all of them. I compare their prices. When I'm like, let's say I have like $1,000 and I say, hey, this week I want to spend $1,000. I don't just go to the LCS and spend $1,000. I don't just go on to AppMex and spend $1,000. I will look through all the sites. I will look through peer-to-peer, eBay, all the sites, and the LCS, and I will determine where the best deal for what I'm looking for is being offered, and I will buy from them. I am absolutely disloyal to every avenue which I buy, because I am looking out for just myself and my own wallet and maximizing my the amount of weight I can get for the money that I have available. So you could say, yes, I shop everywhere, but at the same time, I just use them all as like benchmarks to determine where the best price is. And then I go and I buy from the person who has the absolute best price. That's it. Yeah. My bookmarked list of bullion dealers is huge. Yeah, Robert, you and I are the exact same. It sounds like, brother. You and I are the exact same, man. I actually have, this is how bad I am, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to learn a little bit. I'm so bad that when I load up Google Chrome, it loads up 8 different websites, and they all load the deals pages of all of those online retailers, as well as like the Kitco prices, as well as the Reddit subgroups that I'm in that have precious metals for sale. I just load it all up at once, and then I can just click through and I can see the deals on every single thing. Anyway, I'm bad. I got Houston, we got a problem, right? Okay. So why am I bringing up Amazon? Well, in some ways, I would almost argue that purchasing Amazon stock is more of a speculative play than an investment per se. Because here's why, right? Amazon, while it is a fantastic business that has unlimited growth potential, right? You're still speculating that it's going to continue to operate. You're still going to speculate that it's going to operate in that direction, right? That it's going to continue to go well. That the CEO isn't going to get it caught at a Coldplay concert, having an affair, and then having to leave the company and the company craters, right? You're still speculating that those things are going to continue forward. Now, here's the other thing: is Amazon does not offer a dividend, so there's no real ROI and just holding it that you can count on, right? If the dividend were like 5%, well, you could know that, like, if you dumped in, $100,000, well, you're going to get roughly 5,000 a year if they maintain their dividend, right? So no dividend means that you're strictly betting on the success of this company going up or down. That sounds kind of like a speculative play to me. Whereas if I were to take something like, let's say, Verizon, right? And again, I own all of these stocks. Just to be full disclosure here, I'm not shilling for any of them. I'm not telling you should buy anything. We're just discussing them as in terms of their type of asset. Verizon has gone up 8.3% this year. So obviously Amazon's gone up significantly more. Verizon's gone up 8.3%, but let's look at the difference here is Verizon has a dividend of 5.99%. So let's just call it 6%. And if Verizon has a dividend of 6%, that means that roughly, whether the stock value goes up or down, I'm still expecting about a 6% return on my investment. And I concern myself less about the growth of the company. Now, obviously, you want anything that you invest in to go up or down, right? Like you want it to go up. You can also speculate that it will go down. You could buy puts, which are options, basically expecting the stock to go down, and if it goes down in the time frame which you own your put and it goes below the strike price, you actually can make a ton of money on the way down too, right? Hey, what's up, Brilliance? How you doing? Aliens are buying the silver up. I guess maybe Kevin Hawthorne, good evening. Thanks for coming in here and tuning in, guys. Appreciate all of you very much. So historically, we talk about stocks as investments, right? And we talk about, Bitcoin as Bitcoin would be a speculation right here, right? Bitcoin over the last year is down 21.6%. Funny enough, of all the things that we've shown so far, Bitcoin is actually the one where if you were in quote unquote invested in or speculating on, you've actually had the worst outcome over the last 12 months. So why would somebody say that gold is a speculative play, or silver is a speculative play? I thought that was very interesting. And I think that they were saying it because it doesn't have an interest rate, so to speak. Like if you were to do like a bond or T-bill or something like that, where you get a guaranteed interest rate for X number of time, I think they see that as an investment. But like I can get that with Verizon with this dividend, assuming that they don't remove their dividend. And if they remove their dividend, I could just transfer my investment from this company to another company. Now I'd probably lose valuation once they remove the dividend because the stock price would fall. But you get my point, right? They would probably like here's one right here. Here's a small cap, Pubmatic. None of you guys have ever heard of it, I'm sure. So Pubmatic over the last year is down 10.91%. This is what most people would consider a highly speculative play, and they would not consider this investment because this is a small cap stock that has no dividend, and you're just entirely betting on this company coming up with some kind of amazing product or service and either growing exponentially or selling out to a larger company that buys them and their stock price goes up, right? So you guys can probably see where I'm alluding to here. So if I go and look at gold's chart for the last year, gold is up 42.74%. Let me take 1 second before I talk about gold and cows. Okay. Aliens like titanium. There's something about you guys. You guys just always talk about the weirdest things. All right. So how many total ounces of silver and gold you and the comments got? I would imagine yesterday, today, we're in the thousands and thousands of ounces of silver, and I would guess hundreds of ounces of gold based on the people that I've talked to. Dragoon, can you recommend a stock buying platform or app? Sure. I use 5 total different trading platforms, or whatever brokerage platforms. However, the 2 that I would use for retail, just trading accounts where you're going to put money in, put money out, you're probably trading in it, you're not like doing like some kind of retirement account or something in it. I would probably use TradeStation and Robinhood. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what you're looking for is fast execution of your transactions. You want it to happen very, very quickly. You don't want to click buy and have to wait 2 seconds, right? And then the price changes or something like that. And you should always be using a limit order anyway. But yeah, Robinhood and TradeStation, you want zero cost transactions, or as low cost options transactions as possible if you're an options trader. You want 0 minimum account balances. You want 0 fees for withdrawals or deposits of money, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. And then for the more sophisticated type platforms, I don't want to recommend some of those because that might tell you a little bit too much about myself, but I use quite a bit of different investment accounts. But yeah, I made a gold Swiss Dragoon getting ready for 10K gold. Hey, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I got some gold on the counter here before we get too deep into it. I pulled some gold out for you guys today. Put some gold and some slabs. We all need a little pretty coinage every now and then. I would say, why not, right? So yeah, there you go. There's it's kind of like at this point, most of the brokerage apps and stuff are such a dime a dozen. They all kind of do the same thing. Maybe some have better charting. It's just, you got to kind of research what's important to you. And make a decision. But it's almost like telling people, like, what web browser do you use? Do you use, Google Chrome or Firefox or whatever the Microsoft one is? Like, it doesn't really matter. Or what search platform do you use? They all kind of eventually get to the same thing. You just got to figure out which one you like best. All right. So gold, if we're just looking at the last year, I found this, this is interesting, right? Gold went up 42.74% in the last 12 months. If I look here, Bitcoin is down 2160. Verizon's up 830. And let's just assume that we held that 6% dividend for a full year and the stock stayed the same. So let's call it 14% with that. Pubmatic is down 11% with no dividend, and Amazon is up 39.33% with no dividend. So as of right now, gold has the highest growth. If you had put let's say you put $10,000 in, well, you got the highest growth from purchasing gold instead of all those different types of things that we talked about. Now, high yield savings accounts is another one we'll get into in just a second. I'll show you guys some of these. Oh, I got to switch the screen. Have you seen my Colored Libertads video? Yeah, you just dropped it like this morning, didn't you? Like at 2 a.m. Eastern time or something? Yeah, I saw it, brother. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you. Put the chart. Yeah, my ASE guy. Thank you. Finally, after how many live streams have we done? Like 50. I finally have somebody putting me in my place when I screw up. So thank you, ASE guy. Appreciate it. So, yeah. So gold is up 42.74% this year. Bitcoin is up 21.6. Verizon's up 14 with the 6%. Yeah, Duck. There you go. Exactly, Serpents. And then Pubmatic's down, 11, and then Amazon's up 39%. So my point here is that, you might call gold a speculative play. And I think that the only reason that you would say that is because you don't see it giving any sort of interest. Again, if you buy a business, you have kind of assets plus the potential to earn, right? And I think that's considered more of a business, more of an investment than gold and silver. Now, my argument here, though, is that I actually do see gold and silver as investments. And almost as the same as that I see Amazon, and almost the same that I see Pubmatic, because neither of those gives any sort of return on your investment, like just for holding it over a time period. Neither one does. All three of those, Gold, Pubmatic, and Amazon, all three of these have the potential to drastically decrease in value, and they all have the potential to increase in value. If I were to scroll out over the last, 100 years, Pubmatic wouldn't exist, Amazon wouldn't exist, right? But gold still exists, and gold is also recognized by the entire globe. So is Amazon, right? But hey, what's going on here? Michael, welcome back, dude. One of these days, I want to fill up a briefcase of Pamp Swiss gold kilo bars and handcuff it to my wrist so I can have it in one hand and my 50 caliber Desert Eagle on the other hand. Michael, what in the world? Are you going to film a movie? Are you going to be filming a movie with that action going on there, buddy? If I had an entire briefcase filled with Pamp Swiss gold kilo bars, I probably wouldn't have anyone know what I have. I haven't gotten a notification. You guys must be. You never said if you liked my. Oh, okay. Y'all got something else going on. Servants always talking about sidebar conversations. That's what I've learned. I gotta stop. I gotta stop reading Servants' comments and trying to think about how they apply to the video that I'm talking about, because they never do. No. Anyway, all right. So you guys see my point here. Amazon, Pubmatic, and Gold, all three of which kind of operate the same. The differences would be, I guess, that Amazon and the businesses have, again, all those other assets on their accounting sheets for valuation. But if they all collapse in the next month, well, how are they any different? Whereas Gold honestly has a longer time horizon of being relevant, and it also has no CEO, so to speak, right? We do have the future traders that are trading it up and down and kind of like changing the prices at whims, but ultimately there's no CEO. There's going to be no scandalous, Coldplay concert where their actions cause gold to collapse. Like there might be some other actions in the world that cause gold to go up and down, but I find that just to be very interesting. Why somebody would consider this speculation, but like Amazon would be probably considered an investment. Now, there are also high yield savings accounts. If you guys don't know what these are basically savings accounts that you can invest in that give you significantly more of a return on your money being held than a traditional bank like a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo or whatever. Those banks typically give under 1% return on your cash, because what they do is you basically lend your money to the bank, and then your bank lends the money out to other people to get a significantly higher return for the amount of money that you've given them. That's how it works. Well, Dragoon, the Clarity Act converts crypto into commodities. That's the connection. Maybe, could be Brilliance coming up. We'll see how that all plays out, buddy. Don't worry. I've got my eye on some of those bills that are being passed and such. I think there's still a ways out before we have the technology and the government set up to manage that technology with the banking and transaction systems and stuff. But I actually have a friend of mine who is working in that industry and is developing stuff for that exact thing. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, you can see here, like they got a 3.25% yield, 4.1%, 3.1%, 4. So the difference is the reason these are not investments and these are not speculation is, number one, there's no speculation. You know exactly the yield you're going to get back from these online savings accounts, right? It's written right there in the contract. They're typically variable to go up and down with the different, interest rates. But right here, I'm going to get 3.85% with a zero minimum balance, blah, blah, blah. Like I know that that's what I'm going to get. So it's no big deal. However, right, here's one down here, 4.3% with a $1 minimum balance for a base APY, max 1% APY. This is a lot of terms and conditions here from Wealthfront, but these are not investments, right? Because you're not putting your money into something. You're not getting any equity in this business. If this business does well, you don't get a bonus or anything like that. You're going to get the agreed upon rate of return for your money. So this is obviously a savings account. again, the best investments that I've found are ones that kind of combine all three, right? You've got the speculative play, you've got the investment in the business, potential growth of the business, plus you're getting an annualized return on your investment. Again, full disclosure, I own all the stocks that I'm showing here. I'm just using them as examples. Get me? You follow me? What's up, biscuits, mustard, and biscuits? So for me, the best plays typically long-term are the ones that do kind of all three. But we all have part of our portfolio that are speculation. I don't see gold and silver. I don't see how you could call them pure speculation. I guess it all just comes down to terminology and definitions at that point. I went with Chime and Direct. Yep, I've had Chime. I mean, you guys have you don't want to be my accountant. Let's just say that, ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to be my accountant. I paid somebody quite a bit of money this year, and there we are, right? And there we are, and they handled it all for me, but I have to give them like 85 documents every single year. I'm scanning for hours, and let's just say I have more than double-digit checking account, savings account, investment brokerage accounts, business accounts. So it is what it is. So I use a lot of those things: Ally, Chime, Found, big banks, small banks. I have money spread all over the place. So it is what's up, SGT? How's it going, Sergeant? So it's fun. It's good times. So yeah, the triple threat, right? You get all three: speculation, investment growth, and savings growth. So I'm with you on that. I like the triple threat as well. So my analysis here, if anybody cares, and again, I don't know how you guys classify these things, but I think you're wrong to call gold and silver and precious metals speculation only. I think that intrinsically all investments have a piece of them that are speculation, because all of them are kind of out of our control, out of the cosmos's control of what happens to them. Traders could jump in there and force the price up or down. Crazy things could happen, like a business could create a competing product that dumpsters the company that you were invested into. Your company could create a new product that lets them kind of absolve another company, and then your company doubles in size, right? There's a ton of things that could happen. So there's always a bit of speculation anytime you take cash and you put it into any other vehicle other than it being cash. The one thing that we do know, guaranteed with certainty, is that cash, the purchasing power, will continue to decrease if you just leave it in cash, right? The old way of saving money, right, is we would get our pay, right? We would get our pay, and then we would take a portion of that pay, and you just take it out of what you're going to spend, and you put it in a coffee tin or something like that, an envelope, a shoebox, whatever, cookie jar, right? And then you literally are saving the cash. That cash over time is guaranteed in our fiscal policy to have a lower spending purchasing power in the future. Guaranteed. That's how our system works. So all these other things are just you trying to find a way to keep up with the change in that purchasing power, which is typically inflation. It can also just be non-inflationary costs increase, right? Costs can increase, like cost of goods can increase without it being inflationary. Like it's just, it is what it is. But typically inflation, right, will kind of drive things up, and interest rates will, be lower, and the money is easier to access, and then therefore like more money is being, basically flooded into the economy. When more people have more money, they can spend more money, and prices can go up, and businesses can expand, and they can pay more people more money, and yada yada yada, and the kind of cycle goes on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, Robert, I believe the target is what, like 2.5%. But I think the average rate, Robert, has been roughly around like 3.5 to 3.7% over many decades. Now, recently, that rate's been much higher than the target rate. But anyway, so at the end of the day, your ultimate goal, right, is to put your cash into any sort of investment, speculative play, or savings that can exceed the rate at which the devaluation of your dollar happens. So if my dollar is losing 3.5% per year, I want to make sure that whatever I invest in is growing by 3.5% or more per year. That's the key. So it doesn't this whole stream, the purpose of this whole stream was just simply to say that no matter what you want to label gold, silver, platinum as, speculation, investments, or savings, it doesn't matter as long as you're exceeding the rate of which your currency is being devalued. Now, looking in the last couple of years, we are pretty confident that we've done the right thing, right? The last 5 years of gold, you've done the right thing. But if we look at the all-time chart, right, there are periods. Let's say if you went from August 2011, right, to October of 2015, well, that 4-year period, you actually lost a ton of money. But if you look at the exponential rate of growth, and if you look at this, it's kind of the same chart as the M2 money supply, right? It's kind of the same chart as our national debt. It's kind of the same chart as our out of control inflation. And there's got to be a reason for that correlation. That's a whole nother talk for another time. Hyperinflation is coming 4th of July. It will be done. What do you think is going to be done, Brilliance, on the 4th of July? I've heard rumors that they are considering changing the entire fiscal policy and potentially even doing like stable coins backed by gold or rebasing the currency based on gold, which could cause the price of an ounce of gold to skyrocket. I've heard that we're going to have a central bank digital currency that'll be backed by the US dollar. I have no idea what's going to happen, but yeah, I've heard some of those kind of things too, and I'm curious to see what they say. But I think that depending on your intentions and your time horizon, I think precious metals are a perfectly reasonable investment that you can make with your cash. You just have to be aware that just like every single other type of investment that exists in this world, you could lose money. There's no guarantee of return. There's no interest that you're going to be bearing on the, if you buy 100 grand of gold, you're not generating interest. You're literally just hoping that the valuation of that asset increases. Same exact thing as Amazon. I'm sorry, but if Amazon files for bankruptcy and you own 100 grand of its stock, well, guess what? They're going to pay off their debtors first, and they're going to pay off their employees and payroll and taxes next. And they're going to pay off, their preferred shareholders after. Like, you're so far down the line of potentially getting any money that you're most likely not going to get any return on your money. And as the stock price plummets, you're going to get raked. That's it. You're going to lose all your money. That's the same thing that can happen in Bitcoin. That's the same thing that can happen in gold. And that's the same thing that can happen in Amazon. I don't know about y'all, but I kind of feel like if I had to put my backing and trust in something, I trust that gold will persist much longer than Amazon or Bitcoin personally. I'm not trying to tell you what you should put your money into, but and I gave you a full background, an explanation of my background earlier in the live stream. So you guys know where I come from, and you guys know the majority of my assets are held in the things that I am talking bad about. But they are assets, and they have historically risen greater than the rate of inflation. So I'm okay with it. I'm happy with it. Crab legs are fire. Yeah, crab legs are good. Perhaps they should visit Fort Knox first. Yeah, we'll see, Robert. I don't think they ever will. And if they do visit Fort Knox, come on, I no disrespect to the current administration, but you know what? Even if they did visit Fort Knox, you guys know what we would get? We would get a interview of somebody standing outside of the front doors saying that they saw everything and that they inventoried everything and that everything was there, or we'd get some, private access video where all they do is they view one tiny little part of the place, and they show a bunch of what we are supposed to believe are gold bars stacked up, and they're gonna be like, yeah, we can't show you the rest of the facility, but we can show you this, and just rest assured, guys, it's all here. they're maybe I have no trust anymore. Maybe I'm too much of a cynical jerk, but I wouldn't believe it. Brilliance. We will return to 17-1. Dude, you have been you have Brilliance, you have always been El Champion de GSR, right? Like you've been saying that for a long time. I've started to see more and more people, Brilliance. I will say we have our Discord group. I've currently got the invites locked down, but I might open the invites back up soon. But the guys in our Discord group are always talking about I'm the underdog, right? I'm the outlier. They're all talking about how, like, you know, we need to get back to the historical 15-1, 8-1, 30-1, all that stuff. And I'm like, guys, I think it should be 60-1. So I'm the outlier, but we'll see what happens. I've already said that if it gets to 40-1, I will be, you know, what I'm going to say is exchanging for gold, but what I really mean is I'm going to be selling generic silver rounds, and I will be purchasing gold with that. So if it gets to 40-1, I will be switching silver over to gold. But for now, I am buying, you know, this, by the way, this just came in today. I have not shown this to anybody yet, guys. This is you are seeing the very first showing of this coin ever. It's a 1941D, rated MS65, right? This is the this is just a beautiful coin. Walking Liberty $50. I have not shown this to anybody yet. Hey, what's up, Fish? What's up, Inefficient Stacker? What an absolute stunner of a coin here. I was looking at it for quite a while today. Just very lustrous, beautiful coin. I haven't really found anything that I don't like about it. Just an absolute stunner of a coin. So yeah, I picked up this MS65. I've got another one on the way that I think is going to be just as stunning. This is a beautiful coin. I'm very excited about this. The pictures did not do it justice. I put a picture on my community timeline, but boys, this coin is absolutely, man, oh man, I'm excited about this. If you don't know that we're doing a numismatist journey, guys, as I'm going to learn to become an expert on this particular coin series, and I can't wait. Oh, this is the other one I had. Look at the differences. I want you to take note, guys. PCGS MS65 1943. Look at the difference. Now it's not saying this is I'm not saying this is an ugly coin. Okay, she's a beaut, Clark. I'm not saying this is an ugly coin by any means, but I'm just saying, if you just look at the luster of the two coins, like this one is so much more like pale drab gray with some, like, you know, spotting. Same grade, but man, this one on the left here, I can't take my eyes off this one. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I've got a couple more coins coming, and I've got my books are still arriving. I'm reading all my books every day. I am trying to be the best that I can. MS65s have the beautiful haze swirls on the walkers. Man, I tell you what, Inefficient Stacker, I was a little bit of a addict for this coin series. I've never owned one that looked this nice, and I can tell you this: I am absolutely floored by this coin. As nerdy and as goofy as that might sound, this coin has created a burning desire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. You know what I mean? Like, this has created I don't know how to explain it. I want more. I want more. I want more of them. I want to own them. I want a full MS65 collection of all date ranges, even if it costs me 400 grand. I want it all. So, I mean, like, I have this MS70, like, I don't even think this is an MS70, you know, first day of issue 2026 Eagle, right? Series 1 Eagle. Beautiful coin too, right? Obviously same design. I don't know how to explain this other than, like, I just find the luster on this old, potentially circulated coin, right? Like, this coin could have been circulated, but it wasn't. Obviously, it's BU, it's MS65, right? It's not circulated, but, like, just look at the different lusters. And this is a first day of issue MS70. And, man, dude, there's something about this coin that has that has gripped me tight, and I don't want it to let go. You know what I mean? Anyway, I mean, not to mention the St. Gaudens is pretty nice too. You know, the old gold St. Gaudens. You know, there's nothing wrong with this little guy too. But I just tell you what, that Walking Liberty, gentlemen and ladies, that thing is. I'm gonna be really focused on becoming an expert on that. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys. Isn't the 1921 Walk to Liberty one of the key dates? Yeah, Michael, the 1921D have 200,000 mintages, and the 1921S has like 450,000 or so. I may have roughed up those numbers a little bit. I just took it off the top of my head. But yeah, 1921 is definitely the short dates there. 1938Ds, and then you've got some of the other ones are like I think it's like the obverse 1916s, 1917 or something like that. So I'd have to look them all up, but yeah, there's some good coins out there. The short set is very doable. I finished it in Rattlers. Yeah, the Rattlers that's pretty impressive. Rattlers are, if you guys don't know, it's like the older slabs where they didn't have like that perfect insert that would kind of lock tight on the coin, so there would be a little bit of a rattle if you shook the coin in there. Rattlers are the older slabs, and also the interesting thing about an inefficient stacker about the Rattlers is if you have a 65 short set in Rattlers, there's a chance those coins were like undergraded, because what I'm reading and learning about is that they were very, very strict on grading when the companies PCGS and NGC first came out with grading. They were very strict and very tight. And so the rumor is that a lot of them were undergraded, and as people were, you know, over time, the grading got more and more loose, and people were basically taking like 63s from back in the day and like turning them into 65s and 66s and stuff. So it was pretty crazy what they used to do, man. I really, it's pretty interesting. So really cool. Really cool that you found that inefficient stacker. So, oh, hey, what just popped up? Something just popped up. And if it was a new subscriber or something, I appreciate you very, very much for supporting the channel there. I missed the alert. I heard it, though. Yeah, it's the copper content that changes the texture. Yeah, are you talking about SQTRP? What's going on? How are you doing? Alaskan Assassin Adventure. What's up, dude? How you doing? We're kind of just wrapping up the live stream here. If you missed it, we talked about different styles of investments, whether they were speculative investments, speculative assets, investment assets, or saving assets, and we compared them to each other and kind of talked about what we thought precious metals kind of fit into that category there. So if you guys are just wondering what we were talking about all day, that was it. Now we're kind of just doing a little show and tell, hanging out, showing some of the new coins I've picked up that I'm excited about. But yeah, this one, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have us some fun. I mean, that is just a gorgeous, gorgeous walker. And I have another one on the way. I have another one of these on the way that is another MS65 that from the auction pictures looks like it could be just as beautiful as this particular coin. So, and it is the 1941 Philly, I believe, is the other one. So this is the 1941 Denver, and I think I have the Philly, you know, the non-mint mark coming next. So looking forward. Walter Thibodeau, my friend, sir, welcome to you. Welcome. Thanks for coming in here. The most cordial man you guys will ever meet, right? Appreciate you being in here, Walter. Yeah, I think I said hello to everybody. I think I caught you guys all if you're hopping in here. Roadkill, whoa, how did I miss Roadkill coming in there? We got the big old thumbs up by Roadkill, man. Thank you, appreciate you. Yeah. I've heard people talk about dare sets. Can you explain it to me? Like, hold on. So Argent Arrow, what's going on? How are you doing? Welcome. So there's yes. There are they're called short sets. And typically what it means is that there's a date period, a range of the coin's issue. Okay, for instance, right, the Walking Liberty half dollar was from 1916 to 1947. So what people do is they break up the full set into short sets to make it a little bit more obtainable to try to like get that. Now, there's also, I can show you, I can pull some stuff up, but for the Walking Liberty half dollar, there's typically 2 short sets that people normally divide by. Now, obviously, if it's your collection, you can do whatever you want. The typical ones, I think, are the 1933 to 1916, which would be considered sort of the pre-Depression era coinage. And then there's the post, which would be 1934 through 1947. That is one short set that I've heard. I've heard other people say that they felt like a good short set was 1916 through 1940 or 1939. So basically anything under 1940. And then from 1940 through 1947, which is similar to what Inefficient Stacker just said with 1941 and 1947. And the reason for that is because there was significantly more mintages, right? There's significantly more mintages of those coins in the 40s than sort of that pre-Depression era. And also some of the other things that impacted the mintages on some of these coins was, you know, like they wanted to refocus more of an effort on the Morgan dollar and such prior, you know, so that they reduced their capacity for the mint to produce the walkers because they wanted to produce some other coins to get them into circulation. So there's a really interesting history about all this stuff. Now, I've also heard of a 3-part short set where they divide the date range into 3 parts. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's probably something like 1916 to 1933, 1934 to 1940, and then 1941 to 47, which would be like a 3-part short set. Okay, so PCGS has a short set, 41 to 47. I'll show you guys this. Let me switch the screen real quick. I'll show you guys this real quick. NCG coin. We'll see how fast I can find this registry. Bam, I'm doing pretty good, actually. Competitive sets. Now, if I go to competitive sets, now what am I looking at? This is NGC. So NGC Coin, this is their official website. And coin collectors, right, will have their own short sets. But if I go to United States Coins and I go to $half here, I can go to Walking Liberty $half. Now look at this. I can show you really quickly how NCG or NGC does their stuff. So here we go. If I zoom in here, what you can see is, look at the dates here. Okay, this is what they consider a circulation issue set, and you basically have to get all of them from 1916 to 1947. Okay. Here, look at this one. So there's a short set. It's the circulation issues of 1916 to 1933. They have one here for 1934 to 1947. And then they have one here for 1941 to 1947. So what we're talking about here is the idea that this would be like the 1/3 short set. Do you guys follow what I'm saying there? So this would be like one short set. This one would be another short set. This one would be another short set. And again, it's just ways that people divide it up. And what I found interesting is a lot of the ways that they figured out the short sets were actually the people that produced the albums. You find that it's very interesting. I read that. Is that the albums, some of them, because they didn't want to have a whole bunch of coins in one album, they would cut off the date, and then you'd have to get the second album and then the third album to complete the full series of circulation for that coin. And so that was what became some of the short sets, because people would try to fill out one of the 2 or 3 albums, and that would be the set that they take around and display to people. So I thought that was really kind of fascinating, the history of this. But so yeah, so these are kind of like the circulation issues. Inefficient Stacker, you're talking about PCGS. I was actually, the only reason I signed up for the NGC coin registries is because NGC accepts NGC slabs or PCGS slabs. So I can go in and I can actually like add my PCG slab to this registry, and I can add my NGC slabs to this registry, so I can actually start joining one of these legitimate like competitive registries and have fun with it that way. So that's actually why I joined the NGC site, whereas PCGS only takes PCGS slab registration. It's from what I was told. I probably should go and verify that. But anyway, this isn't like that big of a deal to me. But you know, and if I were to go here, I did this last time I was talking about these, but you can look at these people's competitive sets. And like this guy right here, DHM Indy, it's really cool. So they register their coins, right? And then look, it's got all of their coins in their entire collection that they've registered here. It's got the grade NGC 66, PCGS 66. I mean, this person's collection is insane. I don't know how to explain it. He's got a top pop, meaning that he's got the highest, population grade report. So if I go to pop reports, like there's probably going to be only like a couple coins that are graded MS 67 plus. It might even be only one coin that's MS 67 plus. And he has the one of them, and you can click on it and you can look right here. Now it's obviously got toning, which maybe if you were to, I've heard that poor undesirable toning could actually bring down the grade a little bit. I'm guessing this person would never resubmit this coin to be regraded at this point. But this came back as a 67 plus, with that black toning on the front. But anyway, I don't know how to explain it, but like it's just such a fun little feel here. And you find some just amazing coins, and you can kind of look at other conditions and compare your 64s and 65s. Anyway, but it's all for me. Like, it's called a competition, but I would be doing this all for myself, just to, what a beauty right there. Look at that nice lighting on that coin. Whew. A little bit of scratches and stuff on the side, but yeah, really beautiful. Toning. But so yeah, I Robert, man, you guys, I don't know how to explain how much I've been reading, guys. But yeah, toning, there's obviously like good toning and bad toning. This would be considered, I think most people would consider this an undesirable negative toning, black splotchy toning on a beautiful coin. But like if you had like a beautiful like blue or red, full centric, circle of toning or something like that, could be adding value and more desirable stuff like that. So I've been looking at it a lot. Inefficient, what did you say there? 41 to 47 is fun because you can get MS 65 to 67 for not much money, but you are not wrong. A lot of set options out there. So yeah, and set options, I wish I could see, what was that alert for? I'm so sorry. I don't like to ever miss anybody who was kind enough to do a donation or anything like that. I do appreciate you guys very much if I haven't said so. The plus is eye appeal. So I thought the plus, okay, maybe I'm wrong, Argent Arrow. I thought the plus meant that it was at the top end of the scale for 67. In theory, like what it would mean is like, okay, maybe there's 3 graders, right? And 2 of them thought it was like a very high 67, and 1 of them thought it was a 68. So they just give it a 67 plus, as in like it's like really the top line of what an MS 67 was. But I could be wrong again. I'm a newbie to this. I'm learning as much as I can. Walker short set was my next adventure after my Franklin's. After diving into it, I couldn't commit. So Kansas Kid, I'm gonna start with Walkers, and then I might shift over to Barbers actually. So I'm a masochist. But I might switch to Barbers next, and then go to Franklin's after that. I really like the Barber design. I really like the Walker. The Walker design is my favorite coin design of all coins that I own so far. So I'm going to stick with that for now. But yeah, that's it. Hey, Fish, are you doing the Dang Pang challenge and stacking up the wall of 1,000 ounce rhodium bars? Rumor has it he's at 4. Pang has 420 rhodium bars. That's a lot of rhodium, man. That's how big are these bars? Like 1/10 of a gram? Like how can anybody afford 420 rhodium? Isn't rhodium like 10 grand a piece? Am I crazy? Or are you guys just talking smack over there? Oh, crazy. Yeah, so those are what, if you hear anybody talking about short sets and stuff, essentially that's what they're talking about. So they're just the different types of sets that you can possibly collect. Here's one right here if you're ever really interested. Oh yeah, the proof issues. There's only the 7-year proof, right? 1936 to 1942. So I don't have any proofs yet, but I kind of want to get one just to kind of see what it really looks like. I get a nice quality proof. I think the highest quality proof is only like a 67 or 68. And that's probably a pretty expensive coin. And then this one right here, 1916 to 1947. Complete set, including varieties, which means these sets, like, look at that, 68%, 80% complete. That's pretty impressive right there. This is like all coins in all mints in all potential varieties and stuff, double dies and all that kind of stuff. Like, can you imagine trying to get a graded I mean, look at this guy. He's got a G4. Like, I don't blame you, brother. I am passing no judgment, my friend. I think it's impressive that you got any of these coins, but they're getting whatever they can, but I think it's still a beautiful collection. I mean, now we're into 62, 64 in the 70s. He's got a CAC on there, 65 plus, and he's missing like 1939 double die odd verse. Like, it's just double. Yeah, that's just a lot. It's a lot to do right there. That's a lot to do right there. So yeah, I can only imagine how challenging this full complete set is to do. My first thing, I've kind of derailed the topic of this show is over with. If you haven't been able to tell, now we're just talking about Walking Liberty half dollars. My first goal, first and foremost, is to complete my entire album with filler coins. And then second goal is to become an expert at grading coins. In fact, if you look here, we did this last live stream. If you joined me for the last live stream, you saw this. But we went through every single one of my Walking Liberty coins, raw and in the album. And we pulled out 12 or 13 of them that we thought could potentially be gradable. And so one of our next streams that we're going to do is we're going to actually sit down here with a grading guide book and resources. And we're going to go through every single one of these coins with a magnifying glass and a microscope to determine which ones we think are actually worthy of being sent off. Then we're going to go on a spreadsheet, write down every single coin that we plan to submit, discuss exactly what we think it's going to grade. Our goal is to get an MS60 or higher. That's our goal, is to get an MS60 or higher through submissions. You're only going to add value to walkers if you get like an MS64 or higher, unless it's a much older date, like pre-depression era. Pre-depression era, you might get, you'll get some value without being uncirculated, but post, in the 40s, you really need to have an uncirculated coin to really add any actual value above the raw grade. So anyway, back to what I was saying, we're going to go through and we're going to grade every single one of them together as a community, do our best judgment on what we think these coins are going to grade at. Then I will submit them off to probably PCGS or NGC. I don't really know, one of those two. And then we will get them back. And when we get them back, we will use that as an education to learn how well we were, how accurate were we with our grading and our analysis. Were we over or under grading, etc.? And we'll learn from it. And then we will make the adjustment on the next batch that we try to send in as we accumulate more coins over time. So, and I'm also in the process of doing that, right? I'm still filling out my album with filler coins, and I will be trying to purchase, the full sets of these as MS65 or higher on these coins, because I mean, now that I've got this one and it is more gorgeous than I ever thought, I will be definitely digging into these a lot. So that's really all I got. I think I've circled around the conversation a few times here, so I apologize if I've repeated myself a lot, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys hanging out here with us this evening. Welcome to our live stream, and this is kind of what we do every now and then. We go over the markets, we talk about some kind of a topic, and then we kind of hang out and talk about metals. So probably shouldn't have this just crushing my gold, but anyway, hope you guys have a fantastic, wonderful evening. If you're looking for something to do tonight, I believe Blue Collar Stacker has a Monday Night Metals channel that they do like a podcast live stream type thing as well. You can hang out with and go check that out. Let's end our poll, see what you guys think. You guys think that stacking precious metals is more like a savings asset? Then we have investment assets, and very last we have a speculative asset. I hope I was able to kind of share my piece with that. But are you purchasing because you are studying, or studying because you have been purchasing? A bit of both. I mean, a bit of both. Anyway, thank you all so much. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. I will see you guys the next time we go live or do a video. Hope you're well. Bye bye for now.